Welcome to Turkey, everybody, for the third race of the season. And we have 11 drivers lining up with Nananu, who's just left. So we would have 10 drivers racing in Turkey. Fantasy qualifies on pole, but starts last. He's going for that last to first challenge, so that gives Sako the Papas pole position alongside JP in second place. Alcho and Stinky Socks would share the second row. And we are now all set for the Turkish Grand Prix. The race starts and Sako the Papas and JP both have a good getaway. Alcho behind them, and oh my god, Alcho has been bumped into turn 1. That's another horrible start for the Season 2 champion. But now JP and Sako the Papas are now out in front, first and second. Fantasy already making up a lot of places. He's now in 6th place. But Alcho, another horrible start, not what he was looking for. And whoa, look at this, Fantasy getting ahead and up in the 5th place, and that looks like someone who has been bumped, and that is Kaylin, I'm pretty sure. And behind all of these guys at the rear of the field is Black Ninja. We have seen some insane improvements from JP as he's going to try and move down the inside. Is he going to take the lead of the race? They are side by side, but Sako has the momentum to regain that first place. But what a bold move that was for JP. But is he going to try again into the next corner? That's a heavy braking zone. He's going to go, and oh my god, Sako has gone into the concrete. JP takes the lead of the race. Sako is now down in P3, but what a start that was for JP. Sako and Stinky, oh no, Sako goes into the grass, and that is a terrible start for Sako the Papas and for Alcho. But JP now has a 3-second lead after Fantasy, Kaylin, Black Ninja, they all pit. And Black Ninja might lose out here. Yes, he might have lost around 1 second to Kaylin in the pit stops. So now Sako comes in for his pit stop. I don't think he wanted to be behind Stinky Socks, so he would just rather pit, and that might be an undercut and a threat for the front runners. And here is Fantasy trying to overtake Comic Quartz. Comic Quartz just stepped up to reserve for Nissan. What's going to happen to the next corner though? Comic Quartz and Fantasy, they get so close to each other, but Comic Quartz is still ahead of Fantasy. Now he's going to try and defend for as long as he can, but Fantasy, is he going to look for a move? And oh no, Comic Quartz gets onto the grass, and that gives Fantasy P6. So 1 lap ago, Fantasy overtook Comic Quartz on turn 8, I believe. So now Sako the Papas might try the exact same on Comic Quartz. So they're closing up, but he's not as close as Fantasy was. Is he going to try for a move though? Oh no, Comic Quartz messed up and goes onto the concrete. And yeah, for the 2nd lap in a row, Comic Quartz has lost a place in that one corner. So this is Alcho making his first pit stop, as that is Fantasy going by. And this might be close between Sako and Alcho. They are very close to each other. Alcho is ahead, but Sako has the momentum to try and go for a move. What's going to happen to the next corner though? Alcho staying ahead of Sako. And Sako is going to try a move down the inside, but is he going to make that though? Oh, he messes up, but Alcho messes up as well. So Sako the Papas has taken P4 from Alcho, but what a move that was. They both messed up, but Sako has come out better. As now Fantasy makes his second of his 3 pit stops, and he should stay ahead of Sako the Papas. And yes, he is ahead of Sako. So now Sako has that fastest lap, so he might have actually better pace than Fantasy. So this will be interesting in the closing stages of this race, but they both still have 1 pit stop, so anything can happen at the moment. JP now makes his 2nd pit stop. So yeah, Fantasy, Sako, and JP will all need to do 1 more pit stop. And we don't have much laps left, so this might be interesting as Fantasy runs wide in turn 1, and Sako runs wide in turn 1 as well. So JP slots in right in between Fantasy and Sako, and it's a Maserati 1-2 at the moment, but all 3 of them need another pit stop. So I think one of these guys are going to make that pit stop so they don't lose time to the guy ahead. And that is JP just lapping Comet Quartz. And yes, that is El Saco de Papas coming in for this pit stop. So he might be going for that undercut attempt, but he has just lost a little bit of time on the pit entry. So JP and Fantasy will both have to come in for the pit stop since it is the last lap for them to pit. So yeah, that is both Maserati drivers coming in for their pit stop. Now, I don't think JP will actually lose time in the pit stop since he was around 3.5 seconds behind. But the big question is that can Sacco undercut JP and Fantasy, or will he lose more time? So now Fantasy is exiting the pits, and I don't see Sacco yet. Where is Sacco? Oh, there he is, and he messes up turn 1, and that gives JP second place. So Sacco had the chance to take second place from JP, but he messed up turn 1. What's going to happen now? But Sacco is still under a second behind JP, so anything can happen on this last lap. Are we going to get an overtake on the last lap? While Fantasy is going to go from last to first in this race, Sacco and JP are still battling it out. JP is now defending all he can to make a Maserati 1-2 as he goes deep in that chicane. That might give Sacco an advantage, but oh no, Sacco has gone into the grass. He might have lost time in that straight. I don't know why. He might have gone to the grass. But now Fantasy is going to go from last to first in this race and winning the Turkish Grand Prix. What a result for Fantasy, and JP making it a 1-2 finish for Maserati. But Sacco de Pepa starting on pole, only managing in third place, but he does take that fastest lap. So now Fantasy has a 9-point lead in the Drivers' Championship, and Maserati will now be the leading team in the Constructors.